Max Latias and Latios are making their Pokemon Go debut, and in this video I will be going through the best counters and strategies to help you take them down easily. And later on I will be going through a method that can get you up to 12 free battles with these Pokemon. So the event does take place from July 26th at 6 AM until the 27th at 9 PM local time. But what exactly does this event have to offer? Well, for the bonuses, Max Latias and Latios will be appearing more frequently at power spots, and they will require 800 max particles to battle. The max particle collection limit will be increased to 1600. There will be a quarter walking distance to receive max particles. Do note, for this bonus to apply, you do need to collect all max particles from your nearby menu first. Power spots will be refreshing more frequently, and you'll get 8 times max particles from power spots. All of these bonuses will be active during the weekend of the event. And from July 21st at 6 AM until the 27th at 9 PM local time, you will have 3/4 max particle cost for unlocking and powering up max moves. So this will be a pretty useful time to be collecting max particles and using them to unlock and power up max moves, especially for Pokemon that will be useful for taking out Max Latios and Latias. And we will be getting into what these Pokemon are later on in the video. You will also get a free timed research starting from July 21st at 6 AM local time that will get you an encounter with Max Ghastly. You'll also get some Ghastly candy and some max particles to help you out with taking on Max Latios and Latias. And you could actually save the max particles from this timed research and don't claim them until the days of the event, so you can use them to battle Max Latios and Latias. So what are the best strategies that you can use to ensure you get the victory against these Pokemon so you don't end up wasting your resources on them? Well, there are a couple of really useful strategies that you can use, but first you do need to know about the roles, tanks, healers and attackers, and what makes a Pokemon good in these roles. So briefly, a tank is a Pokemon that has high defenses and a typing that resists most of the attacks the max battle boss can do, so overall it can take less damage. It can also be a max guard user, which gives it more health in the form of shields, and it can taunt the max battle boss to attack it more than it attacks others in the party. This is generally useful when working in a team, so you can take the heat off the attackers, which usually have stats more weighted in attack, so they are more frail and may be defeated more quickly in battle. Good tanks often have low animation fast attacks, moves like Water Gun and Bite for example, that have a 0.5 second animation time that allows them to charge the max meter quicker than other slower moves. This is particularly helpful for strategies where you use the tank to build the max meter fast, then during the Dynamax phase you swap into your attacker and use its max attacks and then swap back into the tank and repeat. Now healers can be pretty similar to tanks in terms of you want them to take less damage and resist attacks, etc. But as they're going to be using Max Spirit to heal the 4-trainer party, you do want them to have a high stamina stat. This is because Max Spirit heals an amount that is a percentage of the user's HP, so the higher the Max Spirit user's HP, the bigger the heal will be. This means Pokemon like Max Blissey and Wailord are very good for this role with the very high HP stats. And lastly, for attackers, you do want Pokemon that have a type advantage over the max battle boss, with strong, super effective moves and a high attack stat. Their goal is to do as much damage as possible. And a quick bonus tip for further preparing against a max battle boss is that they can actually do 2 types of attacks, which will be chosen from the Pokemon's charged attack move pool. One attack is a large attack that hits all Pokemon, and this one can't be dodged. And the second is a direct attack on a specific Pokemon that can be dodged by keeping an eye on the attack feed and the 3 lines that appear above your Pokemon. And if you encounter a particular attack combination that is difficult to deal with, you can always get everybody to back out of the lobby and re-lobby to re-roll the moveset. This is helpful if you do have certain counters that work better against certain moves. And later on in the video I will be going through which attacks Latias and Latios can do and which tanks will be better against which moves. Now back to the question of strategy. It's generally recommended for 5 and 6 star max battles that you split your 4-trainer team into a tank oriented trainer, a healing oriented trainer and 2 attack focused trainers. Alternatively though, you could have all players use tanks to start off with to fill up the max meter and then swap into attackers or healers during the Dynamax window. And with whichever strategy you do find to be best in your specific situation, it does beg the question of what are the best counters for Max Latios and Latias, which are the best tanks, healers and attackers to use. So both Latias and Latios can be shiny from these battles, and the 100% IVs you're looking for are 2006 for Latias and 2178 for Latios. They are both dragon and psychic types, therefore they are weak to bug, dark, dragon, fairy, ghost and ice type attacks. For Latias it will use 2 of the following moves in battle: Thunder, Psychic, Outrage or Mist Ball. And for Latios it can use Dragon Claw, Psychic, Solar Beam and Luster Purge. For tanks, Max Blissey with Pound will be a great option. This Pokemon tends to be one of, if not the best tank for most situations, despite not resisting the moves of the max battle boss. Crown Sword Zacian with Metal Claw is another option, with its typing allowing it to resist the Psychic and Dragon type attacks. Metagross with Fury Cutter is also an option against it, as it can also resist the Psychic and Dragon type attacks. You could also use Chansey with Pound and Crown Shield Zamazenta with Metal Metal Claw. And remember, for the latter, this Pokemon will start with a max guard shield already up when the battle starts if you've unlocked max guard level 1 on it. It's generally worth taking 2 tanks into battle, and it's probably a good idea to take one of Zacian or Metagross to resist the Psychic, Dragon and Grass type moves, and take Blissey for tanking Thunder, but any combination of these is going to be pretty good. Do bear in mind though that Crown Shield Zamazenta takes neutral damage from Psychic types because of its fighting typing. If you do decide to use a healer, I would recommend Max Blissey because it is the best healer in the game. Otherwise you could use Snorlax or Greedent. And for attackers, the best will be G-Max Gengar. This will by far do the most damage, so well worth using this if you got it. Otherwise you could use Max Gengar with Shadow Claw for Max Phantasm, Urshifu Single Strike with Sucker Punch for Max Darkness, or Max Hatterini with Charm for Max Starfall. And that leads us to the question of how many trainers will it likely take to beat these max battle bosses. Well, as 4 is the max number of trainers that you can use, taking 4 is ideal. But as we have seen with a lot of these 5-star legendary max battle bosses in the past, they can usually be done with as few as 2 trainers. Worth noting as well, whilst expensive to purchase, max mushrooms do double your damage output, so it's a great item to use if you don't have many people to do these battles with. You can also further increase your damage by 5% if you use Crown Zacian's Behemoth Blade Adventure effect. Alternatively, you could use Crown Zamazenta's Behemoth Bash Adventure effect to increase defense by 5%. And whilst you can't leave Zacian or Zamazenta at power spots to gain more candy because they aren't max or G-max Pokemon, you can leave useful counters like Max Blissey, G-max and Max Gengar, etc. to get some passive candy to power them up and their max moves. And there is a certain way you can use your candy to make sure you get the most out of your resources, because it can be tricky to decide whether to power up the Pokemon or the max moves first. So the best order of importance is to fully evolve the Pokemon first if you can, then power up to level 30, because after this the amount of resources to level up the Pokemon becomes a lot more steep and a lot less worth it. Once at level 30 you can then begin powering up your max moves, and after that you should power up to level 40 or 50. Doing it this way will get the most out of your resources. But how can you even tell your Pokemon is at level 30? Well, a good way to tell is the Stardust cost for powering up the Pokemon. If you get to the point where the next Stardust cost requires 5,000 Stardust, that is level 29. So if you power up 2 more times it will reach level 30, then you can focus on leveling up your max moves. But are these max battles even worth doing? Are Max Latias and Latios good in Pokemon Go? Starting with Latios, Max Latios will be the best max attacker for both the Dragon and Psychic types, so definitely worth picking up for now, but it definitely will see other competition later down the line. And it will also be very good against the next Dragon type Pokemon that comes to max battles, and as there is speculation that Eternatus is coming to the game in August, Max Latios will be a great attacker for it. Outside of max battles, it is the 20th best Psychic type attacker with Zen Headbutt and Psychic. As a Shadow version, it's the 8th best Psychic type attacker with the same moveset, and it's ranked 73 in the Master League. Worth noting it does want Legacy move Luster Purge to be at its best in the Master League, which it won't have when caught from these max battles, so it would require an Elite Charge TM to get. And as a Mega, it's the 6th best Psychic type with the same moveset, and it's the 11th best Dragon type attacker with Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw. Either way, for whatever you're using Latios for, it's worth getting this max version of Latios because you can then leave it at power spots to gain passive candy. This will save you a lot of raid passes and max particles. For Max Latias, it will be more of a tank focused Pokemon as it does have a high defense stat, and it will be a good tank to use against electric, fighting, fire, grass, psychic and water type which it resists. And outside of max battles, it isn't as good as Latios as a raid attacker or in Go Battle League, so it really is only for max battles you're going to want it. And if you do want to maximize candy that you get from these max battles, there are a few things that you can do. Firstly, you can use Pinat Berries when catching the Pokemon from these battles, but also you can Mega Evolve a Pokemon that shares a type with the Pokemon you're catching to increase the amount of candy, Candy XL and XP you get per catch. And as Max Latios and Latias are both Psychic and Dragon types, you can Mega Evolve Charizard into the X form, Alakazam, Slowbro, Sceptile, Gardevoir, Medicham, Altaria, Salamence, Latias, Latios, Rayquaza, Garchomp or Gallade. And remember to Mega Evolve whichever of these you have at the max Mega level so you get more candy, XP and chance for Candy XL. And if you do decide to do any of these battles, how many can you do for free over the weekend? So if you can go into the Saturday with 1620 max particles, then do your first battle, then collect 300 from walking 0.5 kilometers, collect max particles from a new power spot, collect 1400 from the timed research to give you a total of 3340. You can then do 3 more battles, walk 0.5 kilometers and collect from another new power spot. Then you can do 2 more battles for a total of 6 for the day. On Sunday, you can then collect 300 from walking and collect from 2 new power spots, which will get you enough to do 3 more battles for a total of 9 over the weekend. You can also get 800 free max particles extra each day of the event if you check in at a community ambassador meetup through Campfire. You'll then be given a timed research to complete. Over the 2 days, this will give you 2 more battles, and if you've saved some max particles that you haven't claimed yet from the July Go Pass, you might be able to push it to get another battle. This means you could get a total of 12 free battles for the weekend. This is, however, maximizing your particles, but if you are more of a casual player and you don't want to maximize it this much, then you could just go into Saturday with 1600 particles, do 2 battles, collect 300 from walking, and then collect from 2 power spots to have enough to do another 2 battles, and then do the same on the Sunday to get a total of 6 battles for the weekend. I do also want to mention that this event does overlap with the Steel and Scales event, and that event does give 4 times catch Stardust and 4 times catch XP, so I would recommend having an auto catcher picking up Pokemon whilst you're battling Max Latios and Latias over the weekend. And if you do want to know more about the Steel and Scales event, because honestly it is a really good event, then I recommend checking out this video on the screen next, and I'll catch you in the next one.